My involvement with basketball was so deep. Like even my high school graduation, I didn't show up because I had a basketball game. So that was the level of devotion that I had. When you're involved in something that means your whole life, it was the only life I knew. If it's taken away from you, it just shatters you. So I had a belief in God. But that time I was really angry at God. Like, why would God do this to me? Just been so good in my life and that's all I wanted to do. And it's been taken away from me. I always see this kid outside our condo. I'm always begging for money. And one day I asked him, why do you always ask for money, man? It's like, I have to, feed my family. Like, what? How old are you? I'm 9. I got to feed my family because my mom is sick. I'm the breadwinner. And I just teared up the whole way on the way to work. And like, I'm here complaining about me, my need that I can't play basketball while this kid gave up his life, to feed his family. And he's only 9 years old. Like, what an ungrateful person I am. This whole journey's been unbelievable. It's like a plot twist, the biggest plot twist in my life. I've been seeking something outside of me my whole life, which was basketball, when the whole time it was right here within me.
Namaskaram, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, we have Julius from Chicago, and he is a youngster basketball player. I invited him because I saw certain Instagram posts of him that I found very, very interesting, talking about playing basketball in silence instead of with music. And so I'm curious about how applying the science of yoga has changed his life. I hope you enjoy this one.
Hi, namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Thank you so
Devin,
much.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi, how you doing?
doing great. Thank you so much for joining the.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. My name is Julius, and I'm 33 years old, and I'm based in Chicago right now. And I was originally born in the Philippines, and I grew up there till I was 15. And my family and I moved here in Chicago when I was 15. And I'm a basketball player, and I played pretty much in all levels: elementary, high school, college, and professional. And yeah, that's actually what I do by profession. I don't really call it profession because it's my passion. So, and I'm also a fellow Isha meditator. I'm kind of new to this yoga thing. It's only been 15 months since I've been initiated from Sadguru, and yeah, life has never been the same. Yeah.
How was growing up for you? What brought you to play basketball? Where did that start?
You know what? When I was 7, I remember that vividly, the exact day when it happened. It was around noon, and my dad is a big fan of basketball, and he also played basketball. And he just gave me a basketball, and he said, you know what, dribble from here to there. And for some reason, when I was dribbling a basketball, it just felt so natural. I didn't struggle, and when I was dribbling, it just felt like I want to I want to delve into this later about. I felt like I was in meditation, but at that time, I wasn't aware of what that is. But it just felt so natural for me, and when I dribbled a basketball and I didn't actually play a actual game at that time, like a 5-on-5. I was just in the backyard. I dribbled on concrete just from one end to another and back. And it was just natural for me. And it just gave me a sense of joy, doing it. And my dad would make me watch videos of Michael Jordan. He's the greatest basketball of all time. And from there, I was just so inspired. And he would tell me that, you're going to be a basketball player one day. You're better than him. When that, he's putting all kinds of stuff in my head, but it just gave me a sense of joy when I do it. And right then, at that age 7, I knew that, this is what I want to do in my life. and uh, I just never looked back from there. And I was just so convinced that this is what I wanted to do, and no matter what, it doesn't matter what people say. And a lot of people along the way told me not to do it, this and that. It's not a good stable job or whatever. And I just refused to listen to all of them. And because for me, growing up, I didn't really know anything. All I knew was I just needed to listen to my heart and do what I really wanted to do in this life. Because I don't know why I understood that. I was so young. I didn't really care about money. I just wanted to, I just wanted to be happy because basketball gives me that sense of joy when I play. And for me, it just made sense to me. Like if I'm playing basketball, I was so happy. I didn't know how to explain it why, but I was just so happy. You know what? I want to do this my whole life. Everything else is just secondary. But yeah, that's a little bit about the basketball. I want to talk more about that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I do share the passion of I played soccer from the age of 3, and my dad was also the one who introduced me to it. He used to be a professional player, but not soccer, but handball. It's I don't know if you know, they play. It's similarly to soccer, but they play
Mm-hmm.
with the ball, and they it's a lot of jumping while throwing. And he used to be a
Mm-hmm.
professional player until he had an injury, and so he had to stop because they didn't have the treatment back then. But
Oh wow, wow!
that,
You were 3. That's
yeah,
crazy.
so he
That's so young.
introduced me
And you
to,
still remember that day?
not specifically like it was a day, but I was growing up with like handballs and soccer balls with me all the time. But at the age of
Oh
18,
wow.
I just dropped it. I was like, everybody from my team left. Everybody traveled somewhere else, studied to go to colleges, and everybody just left. And I was like, not really holding on to the vision as you did.
Mm,
But
yeah,
it's wonderful.
it was just so clear for me. That's yeah. It was just so clear for me, and my family wasn't really because I didn't really grow up with parents. My dad left me when I was my parents are divorced, so my dad left when I was around 9 or 10, and I was in the Philippines at that time, and my mom left for America, to find a better job so she could support us. So I didn't really grow up with parents, and at that time, you know, uh, as a kid, you want that support from your parents, right? Love and affection. I didn't get that, and at that time, I was needing it. But in a sense, now looking back at it in hindsight, it was kind of like a blessing in disguise. So because no one controlled how I think, so I had the freedom to do whatever I want. So, and growing up, they didn't really what do you call this? They didn't really so much approve of me, trying to pursue basketball, but I didn't listen because it didn't make sense to me. Like, why would I want to, pursue what they want me to do? That's not what I want to do. That's not my heart wants to do. I don't want to be old and say, what, I should have done that. I mean, that's the worst thing that could have ever happen to a human being. You live with regret and you can't turn back time, So
Mm,
yeah, that's always been clear cut for me that that's what I wanted to do, no matter what. If I had money, if to get paid, it doesn't matter.
mm. I would love to know more about this connection with your heart that you were speaking about. Um, so I feel like most people, and at least for me, somewhere down the line, I really lost the connection to my heart and went just into my head, to my brain, overthinking things and caring about what other people think. So you spoke about this as well. How did that happen with you, that you stayed connected to your heart? Is there anything mm, specific that you would say that was there?
You know what? I don't really know. I've ever since I was young, maybe I'm exposed to certain movies. I actually wrote about that. I mean, you actually saw my post about the Dragon Ball Z,
Yes, the
and
shirt that you have on.
I don't want to talk about that now, but I'm actually exposed to. I had quite a few movies that really inspired me, and the movie was really, really. It really touched the feminine aspect within the human being. It really touches your heart,
Would you like to share
and
some?
it's very inspirational. Movies that have inspired me are uh, Star Wars and Rocky. You know, all the sequels. It just inspired me because it just showed a person, you know, who's willing to die, you know, to get what he wants, and just unbelievable resilience and determination to really, achieve what he wanted to achieve. And especially Star Wars. Now that looking at it from a different uh, awareness and perspective, it's actually very symbolical in the sense that they talk about Jedi's and the dark side. I think it's very symbolical. You know, the Jedi's were the gods, and the dark side was the ego. You know, remember Anakin Skywalker? Have you watched the Star Wars? Are you a fan of Star Wars?
Actually, the last podcast that I made was Jahan, and he explained that the Star Wars movie was the idea of it comes from samurai movies. It's actually like copied, you know.
Oh
So
wow, I didn't know that.
yeah. So it's like a story
Yeah,
of Buddhist
Star
monks.
Wars is very. Oh wow, I did not know that. But yeah, it's very symbolic in the sense that they say may the force be with you. So they're talking about a dimension, force, God, divine, whatever you want to call it. And people who were in touch with the force, they became a Jedi, or in other words, they were yogis, and people who were not in touch with their heart, the force, and they were in touch with the ego and identified with the ego, they went to the dark side. And if you really look at everything in our life, it's really the ego that's holding us back. It's me too. When I do my practice, it's when I first started doing my practice, it's really the ego, the mind just keep, you know, it's there every time, and it was really bothering me when I was doing the practice, and it really took a while, So it's the same thing in life, and I guess it was really just a combination of a lot of movies that I've seen that really, because I was very open. I was always open, and I always any movie that inspired me, I really took it to heart. And I don't know, it just maybe it just naturally, maybe it was natural for me that I was more in touch with my heart and really my involvement with basketball. And I don't know, it just it just came natural for me. And I really stuck with that. And my involvement with basketball was so deep that I was not willing to give up anything, you know, for basketball. And I sacrificed so much, and like even my high school graduation, I didn't show up because I had a basketball game. I thought that, this doesn't mean anything to me. I have a basketball game to attend. So that was the level of devotion that I had. So, for a while, people just stopped telling me to, giving me advice because I was just so stick to basketball. And, you know, I don't know, maybe it was natural for me that I was more in touch with my heart. And I never let anything get in the way because I knew if my heart is in the right place, my head is in the right place. If my heart is not in the right place, if I'm not in tune, then my head is all over the place. You don't know what to do. There's actually a beautiful parable in the yogic lore where uh, there's two people in the forest. I'm pretty sure you've heard of this parable. It's popular in the yogic lore. I don't know the exact story, but the other one is a blind man, and but he had a complete body. The other one had eyes, but he had no legs. And the forest was in fire. But these people, they don't get along. They never get along. And they always fight and argue, but they have to get out the forest. But the guy with no legs, but he could see, he knows the way out, but he can't walk. But the guy who was blind, he had a complete body, but he can't see. So finally, they really put their ego and pride aside. And the guy who had legs but blind said, "You know what? I'll put you on my back and guide me." And the moral of the parable is that uh, the guy who was blind but had a complete body is logic, and the guy who had eyes but no legs is heart. So he sees, the heart knows what to do. It's just that it needs the logics. They have to be in harmony for them to work together. So I thought that was a really beautiful parable. I was like, wow, that's so true in life. When your heart is really not in the right place, you just lost. And for me, that's all I knew. I didn't know anything else. I just knew I just had to listen to this, and everything else just fell into place for me.
When I hear you talk about this, it reminds me of what you mentioned about Dragon Ball, because you have the shirt on. So it's is that
Oh yeah.
something is that yeah, is that something that one of those movies or series that inspired you as a child, that kind of
Oh
got
yeah.
you? Can you talk about that?
Oh yeah.
Because I know a lot of people
Yeah.
in my childhood that watched this series, but they never um, recognized the symbolism in there.
Yeah. It's funny how you speak about that. And ever since I've been on this path, it's really crazy because every day I realize something little by little. It's like something that had always been there, but you didn't see. I didn't see it simply because my mind was all over the place, or I had a certain belief or ideas of something. And when your awareness and perspective just you know increase, or if I don't know if I'm using the right word, you see things that you never saw before. Like you were saying, when I was young, I didn't see these things in the Dragon Ball. All I knew was that it inspired me, because the show really centered on between two fighters wanting to break their limitations. You know, they wanted to really reach their limit and break it. And once they become conscious of another limit, a boundary, they want to break it again and again and again. And as they were doing that, it just inspires me. Like, wow, I want to do that too. In some way, that's what we're also doing in our lives. But at that time, I didn't realize it. And looking back at it, Goku was so Goku was the symbol of God. For the lack of a better term, let me use that word. He was a symbol of God because he was so receptive to everything. And the way he fought and the way he lived his life, he was just so he was on the lap of grace because he didn't take anything serious. He was in acceptance with everything. Whatever came his way, he was fine with it. I'll deal with it. I'll make the best out of this. If not, it's fine. And he always had great respect for his opponents. So in every fight, every battle, he always approached it with uh, a certain state of playfulness and a certain state of respect for his opponent. And he just had so much integrity for himself. And he was not identified with his ego, with his mind. He was not an intellectual guy. He was just there. He was just there being Goku. And that's what separates him and Vegeta, because Vegeta was so identified with his ego and mind. So in a sense, Vegeta is symbolizes ego because it didn't matter what he accomplished. He was always comparing. Remember that he was always comparing himself to Goku, and whatever Goku achieve. He's always trying to measure himself, you know, with Goku. And he was never happy. And, that's the nature of the ego. I realized that it's always comparing something. It's not good enough. And Vegeta was always in resistance. Something happened to him, he didn't accept it. And he always tried to resist. And I realized it's the same goes with my life. The times where I resisted something was the times where I was miserable. I was not in acceptance with what was there. You know, I was resisting simply because I was so identified with my ego. And also, like you said, the seven Dragon Balls, obviously it's talking about the seven chakras. What else would they be talking about? So I didn't know about these things growing up, but it's just so deep when you really uh, look at it now with a different uh, perspective and awareness. And also, Piccolo in Dragon Ball Z, there was a time when he was training Gohan, and Gohan was still young, and he was trying to prepare him because I forgot the Jinyu forces were coming, or they knew that an enemy was coming, so he had to train him. And Gohan was so exhausted one day that he was, Piccolo just carried him right here, and he was unconscious, asleep. He said, "You'll laugh." Piccolo said, "You'll laugh at your fears when you find out who you are." And I was like, wow, that's so true, because the basis of fear is because simply the fact that we don't know who we are. If I really know who I am, I wouldn't be afraid. What is there to fear? So I thought it was so deep and it's so beautiful. And looking at it, I was like, wow, man, this is the reason why this show inspired millions and millions of people, even though they're not really aware of its message, but it inspires them in a way that they're not aware of. But it's just so beautiful.
I'm sure subconsciously it did something to the whole
Yeah,
generation.
yeah, definitely. I really think so.
When you talk about fear and awareness, how did your respond to fear and anger change after getting in touch with the yogic science, after making use of the practices?
You know what? Before I really stumbled upon Sadguru, I was always interested in the mind. That's always one thing that I was always interested in, because I play sports. And if you don't know how to manage your mind, you won't perform well. You won't be a good athlete. And when I was young, I wanted to learn how to control it. But at that time, I didn't know that you control it. But, that was my thinking. And I came across a lot of books. And really, I was really just, when I started my search, I was really reading so much books. And out of everyone, no one really explains in absolute detail, in absolute clarity than Sadhguru when he explains about the mind. And when I stumbled upon him, uh, I should tell that later how I got to him. But when I first Googled, YouTube him, because I wanted to watch more videos after I stumbled upon him, he was talking about the mind. And I never heard of anyone said this, that he was saying, in the yogic sciences, they look at mind in 16 parts. And, for the sake of understanding, he said that I'll break it down in four. And he said intellect and the identity. And then, at that time, I didn't really understand it, but I knew something what he was saying is true. It just touches something deep within me. And, I just keep reading and reading and listening to him every day. As you keep listening to someone every single day, I don't know how many Sadhguru videos I've watched. And I also read a lot of Osho. They're very similar in terms of the message they're trying to convey. And they're talking about the same thing. And in the moment I really became convinced, or the moment I really realized that the mind is not me. You know, at first, when I heard Sadguru said that, it was just an intellectual understanding. But when I came to a point where I really had a full scale realization, well, it's not in my full experience yet where I could create the distance, but I just know that I'm not the mind. Hopefully I'll experience that one day, but I just know. And when I realized that the mind is not me, I just in moments where I feel angry or someone try to provoke me, I really just try to be aware, because even what I notice in my experience, even in the moments of intense anger or something, there's still a spot of awareness left. It's just that we were not trained to empower the awareness within that moment. We were trained to empower the thoughts in our mind or the emotions when that happens. So when we do that, we're stuck in it. We're stuck in that emotion and thought, and we just get lost. We lose our awareness. So every moment that I have where someone provokes me to be angry, I actually use that as an opportunity to become aware. Or even when I'm eating my food, before I eat my food, my uh, my body just instinctively, starts drooling because it wants food. It sees food. It remembers food. So I try to pause for like a couple minutes and really just try to be conscious because it's so hard to be conscious when the body becomes compulsive to something. So it's really just a practice. And for me, what I notice in my experience is it's not something that you could just do overnight. It's really just a practice for me, and it really took a while, because there's so many barriers that we have set up in ourselves. In my case, and then whether it be beliefs or ideologies or whatever. So it really takes a while, and it really takes practice. And uh, definitely the yogic practice that I've been initiated to that definitely helped. And yeah, it's just it's a really powerful thing to be able to respond. It's such a, and people might not realize it, but the moment you get angry, because I remember before when I get angry, I within that moment of anger, my mind projects a certain thought, you know, and before I would immediately identify to that thought, whatever my mind projected. And when I identified with that thought, I was done because I would go from one thought to another thought to another thought to another thought. Next thing I know, I'm lost. I get angry. That's why we notice this in people who get angry, like who did something ugly in the moment of anger. After for some time, they say, you know what, I lost myself. It wasn't me. They know, but within that time of anger, they just couldn't stay aware because they were not trained to empower their awareness within that moment of anger. So definitely, it's really a practice, and definitely the yogic practice definitely helped me, especially after my visit in Tennessee. It was powerful.
Hmm. I love that sharing. I had the same experience. For me, it's coming back to the breath, in those situations whenever I feel caught up in something or caught up in my own thoughts, caught up in my emotions, just coming back to the breath, because breath is life. It's the origin. It's, how everything starts and how everything ends. So that awareness only comes with practice.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's so true.
So now that you talk about the significance of these tools, please share how you got to know about Sadhguru, how you got to know about yoga and meditation. Because for me, and yeah, basically, it was I was far away from yoga, and I was like I had so many ideas about what yoga is, and I was like, I'm the last person who's ever going to do any yoga. So how was that for you?
Wow, this might take a while. We got time, right?
Yeah, take your time.
Uh, when I was explaining earlier about basketball has always been, in so many ways, it's been life for me. You know, and my involvement in basketball has been total, nothing short of less. It's been, I gave whatever I have, I gave it all. I poured my heart and soul into basketball, and it's growing up, it's the only life that I knew. From the age of 7 up until uh, up until now. And when I turned professional basketball in 2011, I went back to the Philippines to play professional. I was scouted to play professional, and I was playing. A couple of years later, around 2000, December 2013, I had an injury, and at that time, I was starting to play well. I was really starting to blow up and maybe become a star or whatever. And when I got injured, I had chronic pain, like chronic tendinosis or tendinitis. It was severe. I couldn't play. And I thought it would only heal for like a month or two, and it never healed. So basketball was taken away from me. When you're involved in something that means your whole life, it was the only life I knew. My involvement was total. If it's taken away from you, it just shatters you because it's the only way I know life. My life was through the scope of basketball, and it was taken away from me, and I didn't know how to handle it because in so many ways I was also attached to basketball at that time. So I went through a really bad depression. I mean, I've always been a joyful person, but in 2014 that was like the lowest point in my life. I really went through a depression because it was taken away from me, and at that time I only had like $4 in my bank account. So I still stayed in the Philippines. I got a regular job. I started teaching English to Koreans over the phone. So it was just a whole year. You know, I was just so miserable. I would wake up miserable, angry. And at that time, I had a belief. I had a belief in the God. Because I was raised Catholic. I don't really practice it, but my family's Catholic. I was baptized Catholic, so I had a belief in God. But at that time, I was really angry at God. Like, why would God do this to me? Just been so good in my life, and that's all I wanted to do, and it's been taken away from me. And it really took me a while. I didn't know how to handle it at that time, and all I for me, I realized, let me just forget about basketball. That's the only way how to do it. And that time, I was in a relationship, and of course, other people don't know how to handle that, and she saw me as a negative energy, and I was a negative energy at that time. So uh, I just tried to forget basketball, and when we parted ways, my girlfriend and I at that time, and it was around 2015, I started getting better because I completely forgot about basketball. I just stopped thinking about it. When I got better and better and better, I realized, like, wow, I really just had to not think about it at that time. And I was joyful again, even though at that time, 2015, I went through depression 2014 for 1 year straight. 2015, when my life was getting better, I was experiencing joy again. And I had a new perspective in life because I was able to overcome that really dark moment in my life. And also, I forgot, when I was going through my depression in 2014, I was on my way to work to teach English right at night. And in the Philippines, it's a third world country. I ran into this kid. I always see this kid outside our condo. He's about 9. I always see him always begging for money. And one day I asked him, why do you always ask for money, man? It's like, oh, I have to, feed my family. And like, what? How old are you? I'm 9. I got to feed my family because my mom is sick. And I also have to feed my brother. I'm the breadwinner. And mind you, this kid is 9 years old. And I just teared up the whole way on the way to work. And like, I'm here complaining about me, my need that I can't play basketball while this kid gave up his life, to feed his family. And he's only 9 years old. Like, what an ungrateful person I am. And in a sense, it made me feel better, because I was comparing myself to him. And fast forward 2015, I was becoming more happy again, and it gave me a new perspective in life. And I was longing to know more now because you know what? I don't ever want this to happen again. And months passed. It was around December 19, 18, 20, or in 2015. I stumbled upon his video. It's not Sadguru. He's a philosopher named KRS-One. Have you heard of him?
No.
He's one of the pioneers of hip hop, and he was giving a lecture. It was just a cutout clip from a full lecture. It was like 10, 15 minutes. Basically, the video, I clicked the video. He was basically what he was talking about, the video was that he was trying to make the audience do an exercise that proved that you're not the body and you're not the mind, that I'm the consciousness, the energy within. And when I did the exercise along with the people in the audience while I was watching the video, it was something within me awakened that day, even though it was in my experience, but I just knew something, whatever he was saying, I know it's true. I just didn't understand it at that time. It was such a powerful awakening and realization at that time. You know what? I think what this guy is saying might be true. And it was so, I don't know, explain, but it was just a powerful realization. I knew what he was saying was true and wanted to find out more. So, and it made me realize that maybe, you know what? That maybe there is a being here that I don't know, that I'm not in touch with. And it was such a powerful longing that I wanted, I really started searching. I didn't know how, but for me at that time, the only way I knew how was to read books. So I'll read books and books and books, all kinds of esoteric books that you could think of. And, they were so complicated. Like when you read it, you got to decode what they're saying because you don't understand what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? And every esoteric book that I read, I don't know if it was written by a yogi, probably not, probably a philosopher who wasn't that wasn't in their experience, but they're all talking about the same thing about everything is one, everything is energy, and everything is God. It's like, what is this thing they're talking about? And I'm always open. So whatever I read and learn from the book, I don't believe it right away. I'm just open. So I would, cross-reference and studied something in science that would maybe confirm, if this, what they're saying is true. And everything, literally every book that I've read, you know, it's in parallel with what science has discovered. And I was just mind boggled, like, you know what, maybe I'm on to something here. Maybe this is really, there's something about this that it's bigger than, you know, what I could imagine and that I've never imagined in my life. And I just went on reading books and books and books. And eventually, uh, it was so intense for me. Like My devotion I had for basketball, I put it towards reading books and just learning about this. I forgot about basketball at that time. I just, you know what, I want to learn this. So I put the same devotion and commitment. And it was so strong that everything just fell into place for me. I think I wrote about this on social media that in my experience, life has been like an algorithm for me. So in different stages of my life, whatever longing I have in that stage, life just mirrored me. It just reflected me, whatever my longing was. It's kind of like an Instagram. Whatever your interest is, it'll project on your explore page or whatever, because that's what you're interested in. And at that time, my longing was, I want to know more. And along the way, I was reading books here and there, quotes, and Bruce Lee was also saying about there is an energy that you could tap, you know? It's a very subtle energy that you could tap into. So I was like, what is this energy he's talking about? I want to know about this. So it was a very intense search. And at that time, I really isolated myself. I was so focused on that. And one day, came across a video on Sadguru on Facebook. It was April 2017. I remember all these dates because it was a very life changing, and the video was very short actually, but it was so powerful because all my questions in life were packed. He answered it in just one sentence. It was that simple, and it was that like, what the hell? Like, who is this guy? And I just teared up, like, wow, this is crazy, man. There's something about this guy. There's something about this guy because what he said was just so simple and is so true. And the video was about him explaining, the seat of your experience is within. And he was saying that, can you see me right now? No, you can't. No, you see me within yourself. So what do you hear me right now within yourself? You know? And when he said that, I just teared up and like, wow, that's so true. Everything in my life, my whole experience just happened through here. This stuff is just out there, but it essentially the source was here. And the awakening, or when I watched that philosopher in 2015, something within me was lit up. And when I watch Sadguru, it's the same thing. Something with me, he just sparked it. Excuse me. And then I went to watch his. I went to research him more. I went on YouTube, and the first video I saw of him was when he spoke at Google, and he explained. That's when he explained the mind. I was so mind blown. And then from there, the more I understood the mind and what mind is, and what is not me, I started practicing disidentifying myself with the mind because it was all my mind all along. When I had my depression in 2014, I was suffering something that didn't exist. It was just my mind because life didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. And I don't even know how many Sadguru's video I've watched. It's just, I've probably seen them all. With me, I'm different. Like if I really want to know something, I want to know something. If I really spend my time on it. I mean, I actually annoy my girlfriend right now because I'm always watching Sadguru, and you know that his older videos when you're about to start the video, they have this one song that they play like that, and she knows, when she hears that, she knows that I'm watching Sadguru. And yeah, I just kept watching and watching and watching, and then he talks about a certain practice, 21-minute practice where, it engineers yourself. Like, what is this? He doesn't really tell you. That's the good thing about him. He doesn't give answers. He only intensify your longing.
Mm.
He wants to spark that. He doesn't want to give you answer. He just wants you to point you to a certain direction. I'm like, you know what? And I just kept reading, and I read his book, and it just mind blown me. Like, wow. this is unbelievable. It's written so simply. And all the experience I've had in reading books and spirituality and esoteric, when I read that, it was so easy to read because it was just so concise and he wasn't using big words. It's just, he just tells you how it is, based in his clarity. And uh, as I kept reading his book, I was in the Philippines at that time. I went back in America in 2018 and I was in Arizona living at that time and with my girlfriend. Then we moved back here to Chicago and I got an email. It was around April because I follow Isha, right? The before. And I got an email saying that there's a free yoga session, Isha, inner engineering. Like, what? Really? I didn't know that they have programs conducted in Chicago. And I look at the address, it was only a mile away.
Mm.
Really, out of nowhere. I've always promised myself that, you know what, I want to take this program one day. I really want to do that. I just don't know when, but I want to. I need to. I have to. And when I checked the email, like, what? It's just a mile away. So I went to the free, because when you attend the inner engineering, the first hour is free, and the instructor tells you what it is. And when I got there, I really just burst into tears. When I entered into that space, I just felt his presence, and when the instructor started to speak, everything just made sense. It sounded like Sadguru was speaking through that person. And at that time, I didn't have money, so you know what? I'll just uh, sign up for the next program, which was August, which is my birthday month, and I did in 2019 of last year, August. That's how I ended up. There's more, but sorry if I said too much.
No, it's so wonderful to, for you to be so committed to do that. You don't have the resources, you don't have the money, but you're like, you have the vision, and you keep the vision on, and you made it happen.
Yeah. Only way I know how to do it.
And I share what you said about, if you really, if you really want to know something, then you have to throw yourself into that, otherwise you will never know.
Yeah, that's so true.
So
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot in your sharing. I'm still processing that. That was like a very intense 3-4 years that you had.
Oh yeah.
Where
Very
where
intense.
where
And
was this shift?
it's so true what Sadhguru's saying.
Please.
Yeah, go sorry.
No. Continue.
Go ahead, sorry. uh it's so crazy because Sadhguru said once you're on a spiritual path, your life is in fast forward. And everything's been happening so fast. Everything's been coming to me in times where I didn't expect it to come. Meeting Sadhguru, I didn't expect him to meet this soon. It just came out of nowhere that I didn't expect. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I would love for you to elaborate on your visit to the ashram, or to the center in Tennessee.
Sure. Uh, I've always wanted to meet Sadhguru. That was my goal in life. I have to meet this and realized being, that exists in my lifetime, who's exposing himself to the public. If I don't, I would be an utter fool if I don't do that. That's like Jesus coming here and you don't get a chance to meet him, or Buddha or someone like that. I would be stupid for me to miss that. I just didn't know when. And when he came back, when he was finishing his road trip across America, he was on the way to back to Tennessee, and he was going to give a darshan. I knew that because I get emails. My friend messaged me out of nowhere, like, "Hey, you want to come with us to a road trip to Tennessee to watch Sadhguru darshan?" And that was the night before they left. He texted me around 11 p.m. nighttime, and he was gonna leave the next day around 7. I was like, yeah, it was a no brainer for me. Like it's just crazy. It just came out of nowhere. And whatever I had plans, I'm not the type of person that plans. Something comes along the way. There's an opportunity for me to go somewhere or across the world. If it's tomorrow, I'll go. I don't plan anything. And I brought my girlfriend with me, and we went there for a road trip. And I don't know. It was everything I've been waiting for. It's here. And if you watch that video, have you seen that video of him that narrates the whole, not the
Picture.
whole, but glimpses of the whole of his whole road trip? I was actually seen in that video at the last part when he was walking in the motorcade. I was on the side, but I just knew something was going to happen to me when I was in his presence. And when we were when he entered the entrance, then on the way to the darshan to speak to where the Adiyogi uh, thing is, I was walking and walking, and when I saw him, I don't know, I was just so it was just so unreal and surreal, man. And just listening to him for that whole hour, it's like I was aware every single moment. And then when finally the darshan ended and he walked past us, that's when I just burst into tears, man. I just couldn't control it. It was just a powerful. It was too explosive for me within myself. It was just a powerful, powerful experience. I mean, basketball is my love, and I've achieved a lot of things in my own right. But I'm willing to throw away everything that I've achieved for that experience. That's the most significant, most beautiful experience in my life. Being in his presence, and it was so powerful, and it's really doing something to me because ever since that trip, something within me, like I don't know, for some reason he's like I don't know, he's like he lit something within myself that I'm more intense with my practices, and I've become more aware actually, and ever since that, usually when before that when I'm doing my practice, the first year, uh, my mind would be going crazy, and it was really a process for me, and I would be so identified with my thoughts. I would get lost in the thoughts in the practice. But now, ever since that, my practices and my experiences are different, and I've been doing more practices. Like the Upa Yoga in the morning. I usually don't do that. For me, the first year, doing the practice was like a chore to me. I knew I had to do it. I never missed one day, but I just knew that I had to do it. Maybe it all makes sense one day. But ever since I was in his presence, and it's doing something to me that I can't explain. It's like put he just inspired me. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to explain. It's like he gave me a boost. He made me want to do more because I was so inspired that wow, such a human being with that type of powerful presence, like that's really possible. And his only job or work is just to provide tools for people to realize that divinity that he realized. And I was like, you know what? I want to experience what he experienced. And after that trip, I've just never been the same. It's just um, in certain moments when I'm doing my practice, I experienced moments of stillness for like a couple seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. That's never happened to me before. It's never happened. Usually my mind is just going 100 miles an hour. But ever since that, it's just, I guess, when he said that if you made a mistake of sitting with me, he always says that. I guess it's really true because it's in my experience. And usually I don't like to do other practices besides my own practice. It's like I want to do more. I don't really want to deepen my practice. Ever since that, I can't wait to take the BSP, when everything opens up, and that's not the last time I want to meet. And I really want to do everything. I read your profile. You did the Sadhanapada. I want to do that too. And I want to do the Kailash. So I just want to do all that, and it's just, it's an unbelievable journey, man. It's never in my life I imagined myself walking this spiritual path. Never. This is not what I had planned. It's you know growing up, it was my ego doing the planning, but now it's really life deciding for me. And I've never this is totally the opposite of you know of I've never imagined this. I've never experienced this, and it's so beautiful and it's so empowering. I just hope more people are open and really look into it, and that's the reason me, and I know that's the reason you too, that we have this natural tendency to really share it to people, but unfortunately it's not misunderstood, and it's labeled by something weird by a lot of people. And I just hope people are more open to it. I mean, they're really missing out something that's so wonderful and so beautiful. And life has never been so beautiful for me, man. It's like I'm at ease. I'm not ecstatic yet, but I'm at ease. I'm just, whatever comes my way, it's like whatever. I just respond to it. So yeah, it's too wonderful, man.
Beautiful, beautiful sharing. Yeah, I completely, I feel you. I feel you. It was, it was very similar to what you were sharing about. You know, never in my life I thought I would do yoga. Never in my life I thought I would sit down on the floor and close my eyes. And it was the last thing that I would do. And so because of that, because I see myself like coming from, I was going to the gym 6 times a week. I was just concerned about my body, how I look, and how I am perceived by others. And
Hmm.
so if I can change, if I can become who I am right now, and have a vision of something even greater, then everybody else can. That's how I see it. If I can do it, everybody else can do it. And I've seen this, and I want to encourage anybody who's listening, and also for you, if you keep your practices on, and if you keep the vision on, then naturally the people around you will start to feel attracted to learn more about it, because they will see the value in it by watching you. How fast, I don't want to say how fast you grow, but just how much your presence changed, because the seed is within every human being. It's there. It's just for them to realize, it's just for them to see, acknowledge. And if you are working upon that seed, if you're nourishing the seed consistently, the flower will blossom. You don't have to think about if it will blossom. It will blossom. You just have to take care of the seed, just to nourish the seed. And once the flower blossoms, the people around you will see that. They cannot miss it. But
Yeah.
again, some people, they will miss it, just like people who miss Sadguru. Just like people who missed Jesus Christ. Someone had to, like, the reason why he was on the cross was because of one person that was committed to him, that was a devotee of him. And so, yeah, throughout history, you can see that even people who were enlightened, even they had enemies. Even they had people who
Hmm.
didn't like them or didn't agree with them. So there will always be some resistance, but you just have to, just have to keep on striving. Because, like you said, you would miss out on so many things if you would not, just getting caught up in survival.
Yeah, that's so beautiful and so true what you just said, because the spiritual path is really a subjective thing. It's an inward journey, and depending on the sensitivity and awareness of the person, if you're on a spiritual path, you don't really notice the changes because they're too subtle. And most people are so identified with their mind and logic that they expect the changes to be visible or tangible. And if they don't see any changes, they stop. They're on and off and on and off because they're still so identified with the ego, and their ego has certain expectations. This happens to me too. Ego has certain expectations of what is supposed to happen and what you're supposed to experience. And this was my experience too. The first 6 months of the practice, Sadguru kept saying, just do it for 6 months. And I was expecting something to happen based on my own stupid little mind, my stupid little ego, expecting something that, I can't really imagine something, or I can't know something that I've never experienced. It's just really my ego. And yeah, that's really so true what you said also about the more you do the practices, you change. And it's a very subtle change in your presence change. And I actually want to share a little bit about my girlfriend. She's not initiated yet, and she will. She will. She wants to take the energy, but she's doing the Isha Kriya. And
Sadhguru said
uh,
Isha Kriya is a path for itself. You know,
oh yeah,
just Isha Kriya and the Brahmananda Swarupa chant. Those two. If you make, he says, if you make Brahmananda Swarupa chant like your breath, you don't need anything else. It's really not about the amount of practices that one does. It's about the intensity of whatever it is that you already do.
yeah, that's so true. And my girlfriend, I've been kind of like way before. It's like I've been kind of like, I don't know if I'm forcing her. I don't think I'm forcing her, but she says she'd be telling me that I'm forcing her. I'm forcing it to her, to take the program. So I stopped doing it. Don't say anything. And when I'm taking the program, and I don't know, maybe there are some changes that are happening with me that I can't notice. Out of nowhere, she was like, you know what? I want to do the Isha Kriya and I want to see how it is. And when she did it, uh, it really did something powerful, right? Because she's very, very receptive. I think women are more naturally to be
Yes.
in tune with their feminine, and it's doing something to her that she can't stop doing it. She just can't stop. Like her commitment and devotion to the practice. If I have to do a comparison, it's more intense than the ones that I've seen that have been initiated, and she's only doing the Isha Kriya. Because I don't know, maybe it's something about her that's more naturally receptive, but it's really changed her, and it's just the Isha Kriya, and I, my ego always likes to ask, like, what do you experience? What do I stopped doing that now, but and she can't explain what she experienced when she's doing the practice. Just by that alone, it's crazy, you know. But yeah, I think it's really true when Sadhguru said that. Because I saw this video of him, a mom in the crowd asking, and that mom says she meditates, and she asked, "How would I make my daughter meditate?" And Sadhguru said, "You can't make them meditate, but if you become meditative, they have no choice to be meditative, and you don't have to force it on them. It just happens by itself." And it's so true. Maybe that's happening. I don't know. I really don't know. It's not for me to say, but but yeah, I feel like I wanted to
Absolutely,
share that.
absolutely, 100%. I mean, Sadhguru says Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya, the practice that you learn at like when you do inner engineering, it's a consecration process. So if you keep on doing the practice, it's like you're consecrating your own body, and your body is becoming a linga, an energy body, a strong energy body. And so wherever you go, you will have a certain kind of influence upon the people in a, in a way which is positive, which is meditative.
And it's very subtle, right? That I won't even notice and they won't even notice. It's just something hits them. Maybe that's maybe that's the influence I had with my girlfriend because we lived together. And I think Sadhguru's saying that if you do your practice, on a certain spot or at a certain space, the more you do it, that space itself becomes consecrated because you're always there. You know, I'm really learning so much about the Shambhavi. It's like the more you do it, you just learning more about the practice. You're learning more about yourself. It's not a 6 month thing. I think they just told us to do that to commit because once you
Mm.
get there, you have no choice but to look back, and it's really a process. And I think uh, you follow yoga with Kush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He said something on the live because I watched this live with him and Ansh, and he said that you're really sitting on a gold mine.
Mm.
And if you're on and off, you know, nothing's going to happen because if you're sitting on a gold mine, if you're doing the practice, you're constantly digging, right? But our logic wants to see results, physical results. So we stop digging. So in a sense, for me, it really took me 15, 14 months to see obvious changes within myself. There might have been changes within myself, the first few months, but it was too subtle and I wasn't sensitive or aware enough to notice it. So, but after 14 months, and especially after meeting Sadhguru, I really see the changes, like absolutely see the changes. And it's really even inspired me even more to do, to deepen my practice.
Mm. So, what would you say is your vision for what's coming up? So you got back into after your injury, now got back into playing basketball, or what's your
Yeah.
what's
Uh, my perspective towards basketball now is not the same. My involvement and love and passion for the basketball is the same, but with or without basketball, I'm still living with joy. I'm still joyful. And just the way I see life now is just so different now. I'm just fooling around, playing around. And along this journey, I happen to play basketball. So when I when when I am involved with playing basketball, I'll just give my absolute best. I really don't have any specific goals in basketball and what I wanted to achieve. I just really want to just enjoy this journey and you know, in this life, I'm a basketball player and that's my platform. And, hopefully I could uh, spread this through my platform, yoga, Sadhguru, through this platform, because, basketball is a popular sport. So, and, and that's only the reason why I'm really doing my practice and my yoga practice because, I want to grow. I want to grow. And there's so many barriers within myself. And I think yoga is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And the ultimate goal is really just I want to know who I am. I want to know myself. I want to know, the source of who I am. I understood now that, especially I never forget this when I took the program with inner engineering and Sadhguru talk about what is desire. And he was talking about how Like you said, when you wake up in the morning and you said, you know what, today I want to wear red clothes, or I want to wear this clothes. What is that? What is the base? What is the source of that? He was saying that, you know, the life within longs longs to expand boundlessly. This life within, whether you want to call it God, divine, whatever, said it wants to expand boundlessly because it's trapped in this bondage. And the moment you identify with your mind or with your body or with things that you're not, you get trapped. That's the reason why people are never satisfied. You know, the only reason why they're seeking something unknowingly or no, unknowingly, people are spiritual. You know, so if they seek something, whether through sports, in my case, the reason why I was seeking sports was I believed that at that time it would give me fulfillment. It gave me joy, but obviously when I achieved what I wanted to achieve, I felt like there was something more. You know, and it's true for every human being. When you get that something more, nothing happens. You want something more. So what is this really? What is this desire really? Obviously, there's something more. It's just that I didn't really look at it, fundamentally look at it and what this desire is. And essentially, it's you know, the life within me wants to be boundless. If I go in installments, I'll never get there. So obviously, it's my ultimate goal is that, you know, and that's the only thing that's really gonna break all the illusions and really you're fulfilled by everything with through basketball and all these other means. You know, it's not. I know for sure it's not gonna fulfill me. It's not gonna fulfill anyone. You know, it's the only reason why people desire certain things because they believe it will fulfill them, but they know they don't. Once they get it, they want something more. You know, so yeah,
Yeah, that's very powerful to
yeah,
have that perspective on this, and for you to share this with whoever you're playing with, you know, whoever you get in touch while playing, for you to have that base, you know, the foundation.
yeah. Also, also want to share this. The reason why I play basketball unknowingly was uh, I didn't know at that time, but the only reason why people play sports in my case was we experience moments of meditation. That's the only reason why people play sports. There's nothing else. People say I experience happiness and peace only because you experience moments of meditation. You know, it was a consequence of that. You know, kind of like when we do our practices. After our practices, the whole day you're just drenched with a sense of peace because in some moments you experience some level of meditation. It's just that, you know, in basketball, that's the most surface, you know, part of meditation. There's obviously deeper levels. And in basketball, we call this the zone. There's certain moments in the game where I don't know. It depends on people. It varies from people to people, but there's certain moments in the game where your awareness is heightened and your focus is heightened and your mind stops. Your mind disappears. There's no more ego. There's no more sense of identity. And you're just there. You're just there as a presence, as an awareness. And within these moments, all athletes experience this. There's some moments where they play so well because they weren't thinking, they were just there, you know, moment to moment. And that's the only reason why people play sports because of that. They want that experience. Because when they experience that, you know, moment of meditation, it leaves them drenched with a certain sense of joy. It might be temporary. It's just that we achieve it through physical means. You know, it takes more work and exhausts you. There's another way. Obviously, you sit down when you close your eyes. But yeah, that's the only reason why people play sports, and I play sports, but I didn't know. Uh, I wasn't aware of that. That was the reason why I played sports.
Hmm. Sounds like it's one way of yoga as well, you know, to come to the state of emptiness through action. So, you know, there are
Yeah,
different paths
I want to.
when like karma yoga, the path of action.
Hmm.
So there like bhakti yoga is there, the path of devotion. Kriya yoga, the path of energy, and the gnana yoga, the path of knowledge, and and so there are
What is that actually? The Nana yoga.
to get to the state to reach, you know, to reach the state through knowledge through mm, I mean I can only tell you very limited because it's not in my experience. I've not really practiced this, you know. I feel like I focus or I mean, if even if you watch Sadguru videos, it's Kanana yoga, you know, because you're getting that wisdom poured, you know, it pours into you and you absorb it. So that can be, you know, Gnana yoga. Or you reading, you know, when you read, you probably had some moments when you were reading a book and you know, you were not really aware of what's happening around you. We're just fully,
Mm,
you know, into the book. And so they call this dharana. It's one specific. So in when you say meditation in English terms, it's like anything can be meditation. But in the yogic science, they have specific, you know, names for specific meditations. Like
mm,
so dharana, for example, means just focusing upon something, and like I said, you know, you just lose everything that is around you, and you kind of lose again the body and the mind. You know, everything kind of disappears, and it's just you and whatever object that you're looking at. You know, so
mm.
in
It's
India,
interesting.
this could be maybe, you know, looking at a lamp, you know, like a fire or a candle,
Hmm.
or it could be a deity. It could be a picture. And
Mm.
so this
So
is,
Nana yoga is the practice.
I mean, that's as much, that's as far as I know about it. I have never looked into it. I truly trust Sadhguru with everything that he has given. And I feel like
Mm,
as like our generation, most of us are very stuck within the head. So for me, it's
mm,
it feels like I feel drawn do to work upon Kriya Yoga because the thing about Kriya Yoga is it's the path of of energy, which means your body, your emotions, your thoughts, they will follow your energies. So once you have that
mm,
base um, of energy, once your energy goes into a certain way, everything else will follow, you know. But if you only take
mm,
your thoughts, if you only take your emotions, then it doesn't mean necessarily that everything else will follow. So Kriya, the path of Kriya Yoga is very efficient path. That's again my limited perspective.
yeah, that's definitely true. And like I said, ever since I've been on this yoga, I've been having the best time of my life. Really, it's just nothing could really like my compulsions have really gone down drastically. I don't think anything could ever stress me out because I know I could respond to things. It's just a different. That's why Sadhguru said the importance of sadhana because it really stirs up the energy and you become really more and more and more aware. If one doesn't practice it, it's very hard to become aware. So I don't know. I really don't know how to explain how wonderful and beautiful this, you know, yoga is. Only if people were more open, and it's such a beautiful thing, and it should be offered. Every human being should do this, you know. It's just that it has a bad reputation because, people have a certain corrupted idea of what they think is yoga, when it's not. And I've been watching videos of the sadhana padana, or people just the Isha training, and it's so intimate. And the way they offer yoga is so intimate, man. It's so wonderful. It's so beautiful, and it's too sacred, and it just touches you from the core, and you'll never be the same again. Even though I'm not there, just by watching it, it's just so wonderful. And watching these people, you could just tell that they've touched something, because the vibe that they exude, the way they are, you could see that in a person. And it's just so wonderful, man. I'm just thankful for this path and Sadguru and stuff. Just wonderful.
Awesome, awesome. Is there anything else from your side that you feel like you would want to share? Because I feel your sharing was wonderful. I really appreciate you taking the time to
Oh, no problem.
to share.
Thank you for having me. One more thing. I want to share my experience on this Rudraksh.
Mm.
I've been having injuries throughout the years, my knees, and the injury that I experienced in 2014 and the depression I went through really traumatized me. So maybe on levels that I'm not aware of, it probably went deep into the layers of, where it's become compulsive. So sometimes it's very common, a thought creeps in my mind that, what if you get hurt? What if you get hurt in the future? What if your knees start hurting? My mind starts to project that. And in 2019, I didn't play basketball for 6 to 7 months because I was experiencing a little bit of pain. And as I've said, it's common in my mind to project those thoughts where, what if you get hurt? What if you get hurt? And I already knew at that time that, because it's scientific fact that thought affects the body and the chemistry of the body and your health. But it's different when you actually experience it. So one day, I was walking a dog, and I came across this video of Sadguru talking about the Rudraksh, how if your body is tense, if there's stress in your body, the Rudraksh knows. And you're saying that if you hold the mudra, and if your hand is tense, and you put the Rudraksh on top, it'll spin counterclockwise. And I did that. I was like, wow, it really knows when your body's tense. So by that confirmation with Sadguru, I thought to myself, if my body is tense, does the Rudraksh also recognize if I'm projecting a negative thought? So I tried it, right? I put the Rudraksh on top of my knee, and I would project a certain negative thought consciously, like hate, or whatever, but your knees hurt. Man, the Rudraksh started spinning counterclockwise. Then whenever I project a certain positive thought, like love, it would go clockwise. Then you know what? And I realized that just blew my mind away. You know what? Let me try it on the water, because I know, your thought affects the molecular structure of the water. Is already substantial scientific evidence to prove this. But it's actually different when you experience it. So I just stared at the water for a minute straight, and I just projected a powerful negative thought for a minute straight. And I put the Rudraksh on top of the water. It spun counterclockwise. And then I projected a positive thought for a minute. It spun clockwise. And that right there, I just burst into tears. And I realized that on so many levels, the reason why my knees hurt, because my mind is constantly projecting these negative thoughts, and sometimes I identify with it unconsciously. And I was like, wow, all this time, and I was really crying because it was such a powerful realization and experience. It's different when you know something, and it's different when you experience it. And when I realized that it was just my mind, that same night, I went because I wasn't playing basketball at that time, 2019. That same night, I went to go shoot, you know, to play basketball just by myself. I'm telling you, 70 or about 75% of the pain went away because I was the it was so convincing at that time. Like, wow, this is really because I experienced it, you know, and it was like, wow, it's just by really the thought alone. When I became and really had a full scale realization that it was my mind, that had a tremendous impact on my knee because I'm constantly thinking the knee pain, 75% of it went away instantly. I was just mind blown. Then after then I started to become more careful and be aware of the thoughts in my mind. It's real, man. It's like these things I understood it intellectually, but it's different if it's in if you actually experience it. And it was a powerful moment for me. So I just felt like I wanted to share that because it's really real. Thought really impacts the chemistry in your body. And this is the whole thing about yoga and Kriya Yoga is we're doing these chants and whatever. It's really impacting the sound in our body, and over time it's a powerful thing. So yeah.
That's where I got curious about the post that you did on sound and playing basketball without having music on necessarily. It's not that you can't enjoy music, but you just want to experience the full depth of it, so you do it without sound.
Yeah, that's so true.
Just like yoga,
Yeah.
whenever I visit the yoga studio here, there is no yoga studio without music. I mean, I have not experienced any, but at Isha, it's like there is no music. It's just you, your body, your emotions, everything is there, and you get into, you create a little bit of distance.
That's so true. Do people there in Germany? Uh, do they also? Is it common for people when they work out they get their headphones on, listen to music?
Yeah, in the gym you have music running.
Hmm. Yeah, in my gym is the same. I would say 99.999% of the people. It's not just people really in the gym.
Hmm.
It's really people just walking around. I rarely see someone walking around or in the bus or in the train somewhere without a headphones. They're always trying to escape this, because they're bothered by it, so they want to escape something. And I think
Maybe they're
if
listening
you
to
want to work
Sadguru
out,
video.
yeah, that's an exception. But when they work out, I think they're missing out.
Hmm.
And I realize that what, if I don't learn how to take charge of my own mind, you know, when it's time for me to play, there's no music.
Hmm.
So I want to learn this now. So yeah, that's the reason why I stopped listening to music when I train. And nowadays, all the music I listen to are orchestra and a lot of sounds of Isha because I want the sound to impact my own system. So it's times of change. And growing up, it was all hip hop, but I don't listen to that anymore.
Hmm.
Sometimes here and there, but for the
Same.
most part, it's
I can still
orchestra
enjoy
or
it.
really.
Yes, I can enjoy it, but I know when I listen to it, I feel certain songs. Maybe I can send you some songs. I feel like you
Yeah.
will like them, even though they're hip hop.
Which one? Yeah,
Just
I've been wanting to find out certain songs.
I will send you some. I think
So,
you might like them. Yeah, I've been looking into music production and all of that. Working with sound. So I did stumble across some sounds which made me feel pleasant and which just carried me into silence instead of um, just just going into the mind. You know, when you listen to the radio, when you listen to the songs which are just very popular right now, most of them they will just get you into your head. You know, not just the
Yeah,
lyrics, but
that's
even
so true,
the
man.
sound itself.
It's the sound itself. That's so true. Because when I listen to hip hop, because most of my thoughts throughout the day, the thought pattern is it's mostly like around like spiritual vocabulary in my thoughts now, because that's what I spend time. And when I do listen to hip hop, or my thought pattern is different. It's my ego is stimulated, you know, because it's a different kind of sound. It makes you want to perform a different kind of action, as opposed to when I listen to orchestra, I become really receptive, become very passive. Where the sounds of Isha, the same thing. My thought, it almost like I don't want to move. So it's such a powerful tool, when used the right way. You know,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's good that you brought that up.
Hmm. It's sound is powerful. It's everything is vibration, and so sound is one of the easiest way to change the vibration of yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. How did you get into Isha, the Sadguru?
I was going to the gym 6 times a week, and I was just having a lot of pain in my shoulder. I injured my shoulder, but I was still hitting the gym because I was like, I don't care about pain. I'm a hard guy, and so I ended up going to one bar, and
Bar?
yes, yes. I was living in the US, and I went to I was I mean I was going to the gym, but I would have a drink, I would, why not? At that point in time I was just looking for mm, any kind of pleasure. I was just seeking for pleasure. How can I get the most out of other people? How can I get the most out of the situation, and just how can I benefit from it? But I wasn't really thinking about my body in that sense. I was like, I have pain, so whatever. But I went to the spa, and they looked at me, and they approached me, and they asked me, do you have some pain in your shoulder? And I said, yes. How do you know? And he said, well, me and my friend, we have studied the human body, and you should come and visit us. We have a like a home office, a home studio. So I went there, and we never really talked about my shoulder much. Like I thought I would get some therapy. Thought I would get some massage or something. But we basically started to talk about life and God and the source, and just
Wow.
going really deep into, because I had a lot of questions on my mind, but I never asked these questions because I nobody could answer them. And so I remember them sending me a Sadhguru Guru video, and saying, please watch and see if this answers your
They
questions.
sent you a Sadhguru video?
Yes, these
Wow.
the people who that I met at the bar, which I'm really grateful, because somebody who's on the spiritual path is still going to the bar to meet people and to introduce them to this. And that was so
That
wonderful.
was that was crazy. Were they Isha meditators?
Yes, I mean, they're not like intense meditators in that sense, like going crazy
But
with practices, but they
but
are,
they've been initiated, right?
yeah, they're more on the devotional part. They're really just living for the well-being of everybody else. They're not so concerned about themselves anymore,
Wow, that's
which we would
so
we would
crazy. What?
call bhakti yoga. That's like, giving up any kind of desire that you have, anything that you feel like you want or wish to pursue. Now it's just about how can you support Sadguru in this example? How can you support him in his vision? So they are doing everything to introduce people to him. So they're kind of setting the foundation for people to be open and receptive to Sadhguru, because we just have so much resistance. Myself, I had so much resistance. I was like, they told me, instead of going 6 times a week to the gym, maybe you should go 5 times a week, and once a week you can do yoga. I was like, what nonsense. I am young. I am not a woman. I don't wear tight clothes. I would like, why would I go to do yoga? That's not like, I don't need to be flexible. I just need to have muscles. And so it took me 2 3 weeks until after they sent me the video. I was having a lot of resistance, but I guess life just played itself out, and I just gave it a try. And once I
What was the
tried it,
video? What was the video talking about?
the video was actually exactly what you were saying that you loved about Sadhguru, which was him and a scientist talking about the similarities between the yogic sciences and
Is it David Eagleman?
yes.
I love that talk. I
That was
really love
that
that
was
talk.
the first talk that I saw, and it was luckily it was him and another guy, because at that point I had so much resistance because of the way that he looked. I just had so many ideas how somebody is supposed to look like, and so I was happy that there was somebody else with him, because looking at him I was just like, who's this guy with a turban and a long beard and white hair, and the way that he talks, I had just something within me was just like trying to, you know, um, to stop the video. But whenever he said something, it just made completely sense. And so I just threw myself into to the videos, and from then,
That's crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy. It's really interesting for people who stumbled upon said guru, like the people who were who had a lot of resistance and just ended up being the most devoted people. Like a lot of people who really resisted a lot. A lot of them end up being the most devoted, the most intense.
Yes,
It's crazy how
I
you
could.
met these people at the bar. Like, what are the odds? At
Yes.
the bar, really?
Mm.
That's,
That's
wow.
but that is the beauty of it. That's that means that wherever you can be, if you have once you have been touched, once the seed is planted, wherever you go, you will leave somebody, you will influence somebody in a certain way, you will draw people into it in a certain way. So so that they inspire me as well to be out in the world and to do whatever I'm doing, because at the end, I what I'm doing is not really about me. It's not like I'm getting something out of doing this podcast, or I'm getting something out of making my Instagram profile, or it's not about me. It's not about, I don't know, just it's just about how can I spread Sadhguru's vision to more people. How can I just his voice for people around the world to hear his voice once in their life.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. It's truly wonderful. We've all been touched by Sadhguru. It's especially after the Tennessee. I've been connecting with a lot more Isha meditators, across the world. It first happened with Kush. He was the first one I uh, connected because he saw my post and he reposted. There's a lot of people who followed me who are also Isha meditators or followers of Sadhguru, and and then then I'm just been connecting with these people, and it's like
Law of resonance.
I feel, huh?
Law of resonance.
Oh yeah, it really just it starts falling into place, and I've been on social media really talking about Sadhguru or talking about life, and I like to write, share my own thoughts, and you know, no one really pays attention to it, but I feel like this is the space, the most appropriate space for me with with along the Isha meditators and people who are on this path because I've been always wanting to connect with people who are on that path, but all these years on social media I just couldn't find them, and now it's really just connected with you and Cushion, everyone else that I don't even know, but I feel like I've known them. Like me, this is the first time we talk, but I feel like I know you. It's just a natural connection. I don't connect like this to my family. I've known them my entire life, but with you, whom I just met today, I feel like I've known you, you know?
Hmm. Thank you. That yeah, I share the same. I share the same. I do connect with not just with Isha meditators, but throughout my journey coming back from the ashram to Germany, I started to work, and wherever I would work, there would be at least one person who would do yoga, one person who would meditate. And it's not like they are telling me, "Hey, I'm meditating," but I'm just looking at them, the way that they do things, and I'm just like, "Hey, do you meditate?" And they're like, "How do you know?" I say, "Well, I can see, you're like, it's this very stressful situation right now, and you are out of everybody else here, the only person who's able to remain calm." And so my first question is, are you meditating? Because I feel that's what makes you feel calm, whatever is happening around you. So I have to
Mm,
like just keep on going, and people will show up. People. It's again law of resonance, law of attraction is just
yeah,
whatever you do.
that's really true, man. That's so true. It's really true. Yeah. I don't even know what to say. It's just this whole journey's been unbelievable. It's like a plot twist, the biggest plot twist in my life. I've been seeking something outside of me my whole life, which was basketball, and the whole time it was right here within me. And I think there's a quote from Krishna that says, I don't know exactly, but he's saying what you're looking for is at the tip of your nose.
Mm.
So the truth is that obvious because when you're right here, you can't see it because it's too obvious. So we go out searching far, we go to the moon or wherever, but it's right
Mm.
here within. It's the greatest plot twist in life,
Actually, Sadhguru just
and
posted a video today saying this, if enlightenment would be out there on the moon, we would already have found it, but it's right here
yeah.
within yourself.
I actually posted that too. A video of that exact video. That
Oh,
was a
then
really
I
actually
saw
good
it on
talk.
your page, then I think probably.
Yeah. I thought it was so true, man. It's so deep. It's right here. So it's too simple, but people miss it because it's right here.
Mm.
And yeah, man, it's just life is so beautiful, man. I'm just so thankful for this journey and the people I meet.
Yes.
And it's unbelievable, amazing. I can't put into words, man.
I'm sure people will
And
want to reach out to you after listening to this as well.
no,
So
oh,
where can they reach out?
Instagram, wherever
Yeah.
or wherever form they could contact me anywhere.
Hmm. And I will link
It's amazing.
your Instagram below the podcast as well for people to get in touch.
I
Yeah.
actually
So
wanna, I actually wanna, and we can do it some other time, maybe tomorrow. I actually want to know more about you, since
hmm.
it was all about you want to know about me. I want to have so many questions to ask about yourself and your journey and how you started and the practice
Hmm.
and your experience. Since today was about me sharing, I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
want to know more about you and stuff. And
I did had two podcasts. I had talking about my journey. One with Vaisu. He's like one of the first people who did a who opened up an Instagram page for just informing people about about Sadhguru's programs, the ashram, um, programs happening around India. He's he's in India, and then the other one is Sacred Balance.
Mm.
She's a meditator from the U.S. I
Oh
think she
wow.
lives in Philly, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, so both of them we talked about different things that I went in my journey. So I can refer you to them, but we can also talk.
Yeah, definitely. I want to know more. And what practice have you done? I mean, a practice have you been initiated to?
uh, all but Surya Shakti. So I
Oh,
went
okay.
through Shunya, BSP, all
Yeah,
the
I just can't
hatha.
wait.
But it's
I
again,
can't
it's
wait
it's
for
not
the.
about the quantity, really. Like there are people who have done sadhana pada who come back home, have all the tools, but still struggle because the environment, the people, the food. There are so many things which are important. It's not just how many practices you do. It's really about
Mm,
how intense, how involved, how focused you are when you do whatever it is that you do. And like I said, if you do Shamavi, Mahamudra Kriya, along with 6:20 to 6:30, the presence time, chanting Brahmananda Swarupa.
do I have to do that at that time? Because I usually eat around 4, 5.
6:20 to 6:30 is the time where his energies are most conducive. They're most vibrant. Just
Mm,
he's investing time. He's investing energy in that time for you to receive it.
okay,
So
yeah, I might have to um, eat at a different time now. You know,
you
if I
can
want to
do
do that.
morning 6:20 to 6:30 morning works also. Most people do it in the evening because it's easier to manage.
Yeah, I really can't wait to do the BSB. I want to deepen this practice.
Hmm.
And I just want to deepen this. I want to taste. I'm hungry. I want to taste the same devotion I had for basketball.
Yes, I can
I
I can
want to.
understand. Just just don't think too much about once I do this program, I will have something will happen, um, because it's not like a level. It's not like now you have done Shamavi or level one, next VSP level two, Shunya level three, Samyama level four. It's not like that.
That makes sense. And you said that you like you said earlier, there was some people that who did the Sada Parja and did so many practice, and
Hmm.
still they were still struggling, right?
Yes, absolutely. People who completely.
What makes you think so? Besides the environment, is it because they did the program out of the thought that the more they do, the more practice they do, the better they get? It's like they were trying to take another program for the wrong reasons, or what do you think?
Hmm. No, I think they are devoted in so many ways. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent 7 months at the ashram. But the ashram is a place where everything is, conducive. So everybody there is doing their practices. Everybody's waking up. There's, a drum going to wake you up, even if you don't want to wake up. Um, then there are only cold showers. There are no warm showers. You can't really sleep in because somebody's going around with a drum. There's no comfort, there is no, like, in that sense, you eat at a certain time twice a day. You don't just go around and have snacks. You're not involved in so much mental diarrhea because you're not meeting so many people. You have a certain space where you volunteer. You have basically what you do is you do your practice, you go eat, you volunteer, um, again, you do your practices, you eat, and it's like it's a certain
Is the
schedule.
space really different?
The space
Is the space really different and just that powerful? You just feel it.
it's again, it's up to you. It's your perception, it's your awareness, and it's but it hits you, you know. It just like,
But it's very conducive. Definitely, it's very conducive. It's just
that's why, you know, people who go to the ashram, they're like, so it's not hard to do your practice, but once you go out, you don't have the space, so you have to create the space. So for some people who maybe don't have the more, you know, the monetary, just they don't have the support, you know, that they're not able to create the space which is conducive for the practices, so they start to fall off the practices. Once you fall off the practice, it's kind of, for some people it's hard to go back to the practices, you know. So and again, it's your thoughts, you know, you're just projecting something, you're just telling yourself, I can't wake up, I can't wake up, so you naturally stop waking up.
yeah, that makes sense. One day, man, I want to go there. I want to make it happen. 2022.
Just keep the vision.
I plan to do the Kailash. You
Mm.
know, so definitely
I
I
have
want
not
that.
done that. That's
You haven't done that?
that's on my mind.
Yeah, yeah, I want to do that. You know, I don't know when Sadhguru is gonna leave, so I want to make these things happen. I want to do it while he's still here. You know, this is, you know, this is it. I have to take advantage of this.
Mm.
You
Yes.
know, but yeah.
Feel free to subscribe, like, and share, comment, and we will be very happy to have you join on more. Namaskar.